Hello friends and fellow Vedsies, and welcome back to VEDS. In my record collection video, I teased a record that I just had to talk about, and today's the day. Or maybe it will be tomorrow when I record that part. Never listened to it. I've done very little research on it. I want to go into it completely blank, or as completely blank as I can be. Let me show it to you. The Amazing Spider-Man, a rock comic. I found this at a local record store last year and had to buy it solely on the art alone. Not just the front, which has a wonderful John Romita Spider-Man, but also the back, which we see. We got Kingpin down here holding Aunt May, the Lizard, the Vulture, Green Gobbo up there, and then Doctor Strange is joining Spider-Man for his adventure. From Beyond the Grave, The Amazing Spider-Man starring in a rock and roll comic adventure. This came out in the 70s. It was released under Buddha Records and of course licensed by Marvel Comic Group. Marvel took off in the 60s. It blew up there in large part thanks to Spider-Man. They were very eager to license out whatever they could. They wanted to take advantage of all their characters. I am guessing this is one of the many deals that Marvel made around that point. Of course, a lot of those deals, a lot of the deals that dealt with movies and TV didn't come to fruition, but something like this did. Now, there is music here. Music and lyrics were written by Steven Limberg, and all tunes performed by the Web Spinners. Steven Limberg also produced this with Barbara Gitter, and the script was also written by Steven Limberg. One fun fact about this is that based on the characters of Stan Lee, eventually it would become this very controversial thing for just Stan Lee's name to be attributed to Spider-Man, because he didn't solo create Spider-Man. Steve Ditko also created Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. By this point, Steve Ditko had basically cut ties with Marvel, and John Romita had taken over as kind of the head creator of Spider-Man. However, Stan Lee's name was still going to be the only name that people associated with the creation of the character until Steve Ditko eventually fought to get his name on the character. Not to say that people wouldn't have been aware of Steve Ditko. Stan Lee often did mention him as scowling Steve Ditko. They had a very tense relationship, but it's definitely a relic of its time not to see both of their names listed together. So, my girlfriend's coming over. We are going to finish building the Daily Bugle Lego set, which we started a long while back, and we are going to listen to this. So I will probably come back either later on tonight or tomorrow to tell you what I think about The Amazing Spider-Man, a rock comic. It's the next day, but last night, me and Destiny listened to The Amazing Spider-Man, a rock comic. It was interesting. It was interesting. I'm glad we had something to do while we did it, because not the most in-depth story, if you can believe that. What I did love is when you open it up, you get a lot more art covering what happens in each of the chapters. I don't know, that's just kind of the icing on the cake in terms of packaging, which is the real star here. So the story is really simple. Peter has a nightmare, he hears a voice, and then he fights the Vulture, the Lizard, and the Green Goblin. They all appear on the back of here, and I was kind of hoping they would all be involved in this plot, but they aren't. They're all just in kind of this opening nightmare sequence. Also, they all have very similar kind of like, I'm evil voices, except the Lizard has like slightly more reverb, and the Green Goblin laughs more.
Is where he pleases.
And the whole time Peter is hearing this voice calling out to him. He wakes up with his phone ringing and he finds that the Kingpin has kidnapped Aunt May because he wants Peter Parker to take a picture of Spider-Man as Spider-Man's being defeated. I think the point here is that he knows that Spider-Man is friends with Peter, and so he's trying to get... It's kind of like in the 60s Batman movie, when the villains decide that they need to kidnap Bruce Wayne because kidnapping a celebrity will get Batman interested. This is like kidnapping Spider-Man's friend, the photographer's aging aunt, will get him involved. Which, I mean, it will. Okay, so that's the inciting incident. Aunt May's been kidnapped by the Kingpin, and Peter has to solve that problem. Then we hop to Peter reminiscing on his origin story, and it is just his entire origin story, playing out exactly as you would expect. This actually goes for 2 whole sections. So the plot is wrapped up in the next 2 episodes. First, you've got Spider-Man meeting Doctor Strange. He comes to him in his astral form. It's like, I'm gonna help you. And Spider-Man's like, why? And he's like, I don't know, man. Come on, just let me help you. Doctor Strange, throughout most of this, is just like, I'm not gonna explain stuff to you, Spider-Man. Just let's move along. And so they jump to the final fight. Doctor Strange takes out all the goons so that Spider-Man can take on the Kingpin. Unsurprisingly and unfortunately, most of this is Spider-Man making quips about the Kingpin being fat. That's pretty par for the course in terms of how the Kingpin was treated at this point, but, you know, still not great. Anyway, Spider-Man beats him and he's about to escape, and then Doctor Strange is like, no you don't, I'm gonna send you to hell.
The core beneath the Kingpin is erupted in flame. That laugh, the stench of brimstone. The Kingpin is being drawn down. It's horrible. I can't watch.
And Spider-Man is unsurprisingly like, that's a little extreme. I mean, I'm not happy that he kidnapped this old woman, but what the literal hell, Doctor Strange? And Doctor Strange is like, I don't have to explain myself to you, Spider-Man. But don't worry, it was just an illusion created by Kingpin's own awareness of his guilt. Seems like a bit of a cop-out there, Doctor Strange. And before leaving, Doctor Strange explains to Peter that the reason he's helping him and the voice that Peter has been hearing is the voice of Uncle Ben beyond the grave. Cool. Few things that stuck out to me. One, there is music here.
Like a spider, way like a man, hard like superhero, they call him Spider-Man. Amazing, amazing. How does he ever win?
Performed by the Web Spinners. And just about every song me and Destiny compare to another song. There is one song on here that when it almost broke into the chorus, I just started singing Rhinestone Cowboy because it was giving off that vibe. Now the songs are great. All of them are cheesy fun though.
Going across town, gonna brawl tonight, gonna kick a tail or two. Bring a little action to the criminal faction, show 'em what a good man can do.
Second is that when you first meet the Kingpin and his henchmen, the most stereotypical gangster Italian music is playing in the background.
Carlo, what time is it?
The big hand is on the 3, and the little hand is on the 6. That's 36, boss.
For the most part, the Kingpin, while he is in like organized crime, isn't really associated with Italians because for reasons with the Comics Code Authority, comics couldn't use the word mafia. Instead, they used the word magia. It's just kind of weird to see him associated with Italian organized crime and not just generic organized crime. I even think one of the henchmen says like, I bet that Aunt May can make up a good lasagna.
Think she makes good lasagna, boss?
Shut up and stay away from the old lady.
So when we were listening to this last night, Destiny wasn't having it. She thought this was so stupid. And when we were talking about it afterwards, I kind of said my take, which was that this is not good, but like judging it's beyond being good and bad, this just is fun that it exists. I'm just happy that this exists and that I own a copy. And yes, I will probably listen to it multiple times. Although the highlight of it still is the packaging with the awesome John Romita art, the really cool layout on the back, and then of course the comic book panels in the center. So friends and fellow Vedsies, thanks for sitting through me talking about this bizarre relic of the 1970s. I will see you tomorrow.
Like a rhinestone